You're listening to Wild Things and Wild Places, a Muley Fanatic Foundation podcast that aims to discuss issues and efforts related to the Muley Fanatic Foundation mission, the conservation of mule deer, furthering the sport of hunting, and sound wildlife management.
Everybody knows I'm a Muley fanatic.
It's time for Wild Things and Wild Places. And here's your guide, Joshua Coursey.
That jingle never gets old. Wild Things and Wild Places. Everybody knows I'm a Muley fanatic. Sing it with me, gents.
Negative. I don't want to ruin it.
All right. Hey, great episode here today, talking about something that is very near and dear to the organizational effort of the Muley Fanatic Foundation. It's been even said on some accounts that it's the most important thing that we do, or the most important aspect of our mission and being able to be a part of this. Of course, I'm talking about the putting the ewe in hunt. Joey, I think you coined that wonderful terminology and headline for what encapsulates just an awesome experience that's been going on for years now. But putting the ewe in hunt, what does that mean when you hear that?
Oh, man. I don't know if I could say just one word, but I guess it's dear to my heart. Just one of those special things, like you said, out of everything that we do here at Muley Fanatic Foundation. It's just one of those things you look forward to, along with my own hunting season. This is probably just one of those priorities. But man, I don't know. It's hard to explain, but yeah, it's just dear to my heart, as it is many.
If somebody has never heard of putting the ewe in hunt or not familiar with it, essentially it's a program within the organization. It's a program that has been there from the onset of when we organized.
Yeah.
And it's really to create an opportunity to allow a child or youth with a terminal or life-threatening illness the opportunity to have a break in the regimen of their daily routines and battling their health challenges to go hunting.
Yeah, a lot of things that we take for granted when you experience this hunt with one of those youths between the ages of 12 and 20. They're struggling each and every day, whether it be cancer or some other disease that they just continue to battle with, spending majority of their time in a hospital or something. And for us to take them out in the field and experience the outdoors and harvest a deer, an antelope, or an elk, that's why it's just fantastic. Just being there with them and having those memories shared with them alone and their families and with all of us here at the staff. I mean, it's hard to describe. Huh? It is. It's just one dear thing to us. So.
Yeah, we've had several opportunities over the duration of our existence, 87 to be exact, still batting 1,000. All 87 participants within this program have had success. And success is not necessarily, I say success, they've all been successful, but they've all had a successful harvest. The success of the program isn't necessarily predicated on the fact of being able to have a harvest or a kill. But we're very grateful for the opportunity that the state statute and the Wyoming Game and Fish Commission has to allow for this to exist and this special program. We've been involved in several of these, of course, over this period of time. Some were not involved because we've had chapter efforts that have been willing to step up and facilitate some of these hunts in their areas of operation within the Cowboy State. Chris, the one that stands out to me, that the three of us were on, and we had a little bit of time at the end of the hunt or after the harvest at the tailgate. You were fighting a cold, if I remember, but still wasn't going to miss it. But that was Aiden Ray's pretty good, healthy pack out coming out on that one. A lot of vertical.
Yeah, that was I don't know if you say worst, best. That was a pack out of his elk, yeah.
But this hunt and being able to participate in these hunts, I know you have small children still at home. We're all fathers, but what the parents go through and the break and the relief that this opportunity provides, it's just as valuable as pulling the trigger and getting something down.
Yeah, for sure. It's just always for me, it's just, I don't know. I always look at these hunts and it's a reset of my own, I guess, take on life, because for those days we're out there with those kids and their families, and I don't remember a time in any of the hunts I've been on where you see the parents upset, the kids upset. They're just smiling, having a great time, and they're dealing with things that just put your life in perspective of being grateful yourself that you're not having to deal with what they are dealing with, but at the same time seeing them smile and be happy and just dealing with things that most of us just never, we take for granted. I take for granted. So
Yeah, I think that's human nature. I think when you wake up every day and your legs get you out of bed, and you stumble to the restroom, and then you stumble to the coffee pot, you just assume you can put one foot in front of the other. You don't think twice about it.
Yeah.
You breathe in and out because it's like blinking your eyes. It just happens. And then we've seen and have experienced every extreme on some of these hunts, from children that needed breathing tubes to be able to activate the firing mechanism of their weapon. You take for granted that go shooting. You want to go to the range? Let's go sight in a rifle. And it adds a layer of complexity. But yeah, I think you're right. I think it puts a new perspective on it. It humbles you, certainly. Yeah. Joey, specific to the program, let's talk about how the program exists financially, what it covers, how we get the word out. I mean, that's a lot right there. So let's start there, because it's not Make-A-Wish. There's no huge federal promotion or advertising or big conglomerate of ambassadors all over the country that are generating revenue for this. It's very similar to Muley Fanatic Foundation. It's grassroots led and grassroots funded.
Yeah, so a lot of the funding comes from either we'll have fundraising events and we'll have a particular item that maybe an auction or a raffle or something. And we've had game commissioners donate a commissioner license specific to this program so we can use it to raise funds. So we use a lot of those to place funds into a certain account that's dedicated to this program. And we use those funds to cover just about everything that is involved with this hunt, whether it be the family and the child traveling here, the lodging, the license fees, the food during the hunts, the fuel that we need for these hunts, you name it. And just like this year, we've used some of these funds to actually purchase some firearms to donate to these kids for them to either utilize during this hunt itself or in the future. Taxidermy, the meat processing, it's a big bill, but we raise enough funds to cover a lot of that. It's a continuous thing that we'll have to do, but it's all worth it. And we want no burden on these families and these youths for these hunts. We want it special. We want them to be free of everything. That's important to us.
Yeah. From the onset, the committee that has been organized for the Putting the U in Hunt program, as you mentioned, Joey, there's a specific account within the headquarters that is earmarked for Putting the U in Hunt. Those funds that are received go into that account. But we have seen, and this, when you know the one I'm talking about, you remember when we got the $2,500 check from Merrill Lynch from Michigan?
Yeah.
And I don't want to mention someone's name, but I asked you, I said, do you know what this is for? And when we were able to reach out to him, and he said, that's what I figured it would cost to maybe help contribute to having a child hunt next year. And yeah, I would like those funds earmarked to that account. That's someone who has never been to the MFF headquarters, isn't involved directly with a specific chapter because we don't have a chapter effort in Michigan or anywhere close proximity to where he resides. And then for him to just allocate $2,500 and earmark it to that account, there's been several instances. I think that one just stands out because we didn't know that he was sending that. And then to do a little digging and to find out who he was and why he was donating, at first we thought, is this guy buying a life membership? What are these funds for? Didn't have any clear direction because he had his financial institution send it directly. Stuff like that just sets you back. It humbles you, but it also just makes you so appreciative and grateful that there's that many giving people that are supporting this program. And to what you were just covering from the onset, this was designed to not be of any financial burden for a child to have this experience and to be able to share this experience with mom and dad also, or family members. We've had dad, we've had mom, we've had granddad, we've had siblings, nor should it be.
Right.
This year, you just touched on it. The committee has allocated the authority to be able to give or to gift, if you will, a rifle to each of these participants, knowing that many of them are first-time hunters, but it welcomes them to the brotherhood of hunters and huntresses, I guess is the right way to say that. It's Chris, that's a big charge in your responsibilities and being the firearms guy or guru here at the office. You reached out to suppliers to find firearms. That's a big task.
Yeah, reached out to Weatherby. They gave me some suggestions on some good rifles that would fit. We'd already decided on caliber that would fit a variety of the animals that we typically hunt. And Weatherby was great, like they always are. Shipped me 4 rifles, gave us a great price. Joey reached out to Vortex. They gave us some scopes. Yeah, spent a little over a day mounting everything up, and it'll be cool to give these kids those guns, and whether they use them on this hunt or these upcoming hunts or just take them home, it's going to be awesome. We engraved, I laser engraved their names on them. I think it'll be pretty dang cool. That's one of the things they're going to get. They're going to get some other stuff too.
Yeah, and the support and the folks that have come out of the woods to be able to help and want to be a part of this, it truly does sometimes set you back, leaves you a little speechless, just knowing that there's that much gratitude and appreciation for this program. This year, there are 9 hunts that are scheduled. We'll have the ones here based out of headquarters, the 4 elk hunts that we'll be facilitating. And then we have some hunts that'll be facilitated from the 10 Country chapter out of Fremont County. They'll be doing an elk hunt. They'll be doing a deer-antelope combo hunt, a late-season deer hunt, and Northeast Wyoming doing an elk hunt up there as well. Yeah, it's a tremendous program. We've had more hunters in the past. We've scaled it down intentionally to put more emphasis on the quality of the experience and the time to be able to dedicate to each of these hunts. But I think the one thing that goes without saying is that this is still a program that survives by word of mouth.
That's the only way we can get a youth to be part of this program, is someone knows somebody and that person knows somebody and they reach out to us. And that's usually how we receive some of these youths for these hunts. And just like Chris saying, he engraved that on the firearm, their names and everything else, and they'll take this home, and those kids will know somebody else that would be good for this program, and they let them know and stuff like that. We just got to get the word out. We really don't want anybody to miss out on this opportunity, and we've had some kids that have missed out on it, unfortunately. And that's the hard thing about this program, is when you have a child that's raring to go, and we're going to have that, and fortunately they didn't live long enough to do that. And that's some of the toughness of this program as well. When we try and get, I know we've had repeat of some hunters, and now we're going to where we'll get these kids there. If they're not, then we'll bring another kid back the following year if that opportunity is. But we want to make sure that everybody has a chance to come out here and hunt Wyoming. It's just important. We've had even some that are still around and still just can't make it over here. Again, because they're spending a lot of time in the hospital. Hopefully that individual will make it for this program before they reach over the age of 20.
Yeah, just for clarification, the program through the Wyoming Game and Fish Department and the Game Commission, the way that the program reads is the youth must be at the age of 12 and not to exceed 20 at the time of harvest. That is a different definition of traditional youth in Wyoming, but 18 is considered an adult. This program does make some concessions to allow for that child up to the age of 20 at the time of harvest. It still has to have hunter education certification. That's a standard operating procedure. There are some other perks, though, to this program that I would like to give kudos to the Game and Fish Commission and the Game and Fish Department. This program allows these youth hunters to hunt 5 days prior to that season opening, and I think that is enormous in the success that we have had with this program up to this point. You think about being able to be out there 5 days before these critters start hearing a rifle shot and get moved around. I think that's a game changer.
Yeah, it's definitely beneficial when you consider some of these kids, like you mentioned, wheelchair bound, their mobility is drastically reduced, and still, and I don't speak for you guys, but every hunt group that we've had, there's always, seems to me like I always feel like there's one of them or something that's maybe severely, they're limited with their mobility, breathing tubes to fire the firearm and all that. And I think, man, this is not going to happen. We run into situations still, even being able to hunt 5 days in advance. And I don't know if it's that classified as divine intervention, but it always seems to work out. It always seems to, something almost kind of crazy presents itself.
Right.
Where you're like, no way did that just happen.
Yeah.
But it does so far.
So far.
Worked out good. Yeah. There are some, I can think that some of the antelope tags we've had, that's been a season that's been open for a while for rifle, and we've still, I don't remember a time ever seeing an antelope after the season's been open for a while not take off running when they see a truck a mile away, and yet sometimes we've driven fairly close, get the child out of a vehicle. They're still standing there and, take a shot and still standing there. And you're like, what the heck is going on here? But I don't know if it's divine intervention, but I've seen some pretty incredible things on these hunts. Just, it's the only way I can describe it.
Yeah. No, that's great perspective because you can speak for both of us.
Yeah.
I think we share the same
Yeah,
sentiments.
I've been dumbfounded at a few of these. I can't believe this is happening.
If that was my tag,
Yeah.
that would have never happened.
No. Yeah. It would have never happened that way. But
Yeah.
it's great that it does.
Yeah, I think the other thing that's worth noting is the relationships locally, but I know the other chapters that are facilitating hunts, the support that they've had from lodging establishments to be able to help accommodate. It's not the norm to pull up to the Holiday Inn at 5:30 in the morning, see 8 or 9 people standing out there getting a game plan all decked out in their latest camo and passing out sack lunches and this convoy of vehicles that are about to take to the field, and then next thing, the evening rolls around and someone's getting ready to check into the hotel and they have to walk by a carcass in the back of a truck and everybody giving high fives and fist bumps. That's pretty special too. This whole program is all about relationships, individuals, business, organizations, state agencies. It's when you talk about some of the service to this program that has been there from folks that love this time of year, spend the majority of any waking minute they can in the field. Your brother who runs his own guide operation. We've had other guides that have been involved that just want to be a part of this program and dedicate countless and selfless hours of time, their own fuel, won't take a penny for helping put gas in their vehicle. I mean, you have to beg them to grab a sack lunch, but they're making sure everybody's already had theirs and don't want seconds before they do. It's pretty incredible just the amount of sacrifice that is made to continue this program. But Joey, back to what you said, there's not this magic database of let's start looking at the applications for 2024. We don't have that. Unless someone calls and reaches out to us directly, we don't have a way of securing applicants. And there's no limitation. That's a crazy thing. Have you ever met someone from Connecticut before Eva came here? No. Me neither. Connecticut's a little bit of a jaunt.
Yeah.
Yet it was her dad and her grandpa.
Yeah, and that was one of those individuals that said, hey, we just happened to see it somewhere and reached out to you guys. And
Yeah.
again, if that didn't happen just in that case, they would have never even known about this program otherwise.
Yeah, we probably should look at, like we have down in the lobby, a map of where all of our life members come from. Maybe get a separate colored push pin to identify where all of these youth hunters have come from, because it's across the board. Peanut from South Carolina, Cameron from South Carolina,
Yeah.
Eva from Connecticut, Ross from Pennsylvania. They've been all over California, Texas, North Carolina, Ohio. We've had great representation from. In fact, it's rare if we get someone from Wyoming.
What do we have? 3 this year.
Yeah, 3 this year.
Which I always put an asterisk by that. We don't want to see anybody from Wyoming or these other states either. You hate to put it in that context, but with the kids being sick. But it is cool to have some Wyoming kids.
Yeah, with our low population density, the odds are certainly not there. Other places, more people, it makes sense. But I think all of the children that participate in this, I think they become ambassadors. They have the regimen of routine within their circle of caregiving, and similar children having similar circumstances or similar challenges. And so we've certainly seen some referrals, if you will, for lack of better words, come forward on that. But it's such an amazing program. I thought it was worthy of its own podcast to talk about it, because there's room and there's opportunity for people to be involved. And that's, this whole podcast is designed to be an opportunity for you to learn a little bit more about the organization, what we stand for, what we do, what our mission is and what our effort is. But this is such a unique but very important component within the overall mission that it's worthy of talking just about this.
Yeah, absolutely. I do have a challenge for you guys. I want to know one memory you can share. The one
memory.
Is there one memory you could share?
Oh man, I have many. But you have to narrow it to one? All right, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna take it. And once I give mine, you or Chris can't repeat it. You have to have a different one. Fair enough. Can I go first then?
No, I'd like to go first.
I want to go first.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
All right. On Aiden's hunt, that was an enormous canyon. He shot that elk at the opposite canyon wall in the bottom. Tremendous pack out. Glass that the elk was down. Everybody's getting pack frames on, us included, to make the trek down there. Aiden, wheelchair bound, on the top of the hill. He said, why don't you guys go get that? I'll just wait here.
Yeah, it would have been better had it been at the bottom, but it wasn't. It was a quarter of the way up the opposite
the other side. So, yeah, it was down, up,
yeah,
back down, up. Yeah.
And he did wait.
You did.
He watched from up top there as we all walked down there and up the other side and back out.
That was just classic when they said that. You guys go ahead and get that. I'll just wait here. Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, there's many memories. Noah, gosh. What? Okay, Chris, that was mine.
Okay.
All-time favorite memory.
I don't know if I could say all-time favorite memory, but I think there's a lot for me, only because I hunted with Ross Hershey from Pennsylvania twice. He came out once for antelope and deer his first year, then he came back out the next year or 2 years later for elk. And Ross is a ham of a kid, and just bouncing around in the truck with him and his dad and the other people on the hunt for a few days, there was just so many laughs. The kid was he's just a fun kid, just was always cracking off with sayings and comments. And yeah, I probably laughed more in that hunt than any.
Yeah, and his dad was a hoot.
Yeah, great.
His tolerance.
Yeah. And they'd never big game hunted before. They'd never been out west. I think they'd actually been out west, now that I think about it, but they'd never done some whitetail hunting back in Pennsylvania, but never experienced this. Yeah. And that we see that with a lot of these kids in the families. Some of them have never been out west, and you just see in this, what Southwest Wyoming has to offer and where these other kids hunt. It's just the scenery in everything, and the vastness of everything is pretty intimidating and impressive to them. We take that for granted. We live here. We're used to it. But yeah, the whole experience with Ross, I don't think I've laughed so much on hunts
I was just
in my life.
Can you just picture him doing his dance and his little song?
There were so many.
All right, Joey. On that note, though, Chris, real quick, You hit on something that I think is something that we certainly take for granted living here, having this beautiful landscape in our backyard, and that's the vastness and the openness. I recall one of the hunts, we were heading east of Rock Springs, and the comment was made, I can see the front of the train and the back of the train.
Yeah.
In the same view. To have that type of landscape to provide that, you take that for granted when you live here.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
All right, let's go. I assume Chris or I didn't take yours because this was your challenge.
No, and this one can involve two hunters because it happened all the same day. And it was the time where kid's name was Joey. I can't remember his last name. I think it might have been Wine, but he was wheelchair bound, and it was a little bit of a struggle. Every time we'd get some elk, getting his wheelchair out, getting him in the chair, getting the tripod all set up and ready, we knew those were always going to be a challenge. But the good thing is we're hunting in late September, peak of the rut, so we know we can call him in. But I remember the time where we get out, I hear bugle. Okay, let's just get him set up. Start calling, and the bull's coming in quicker than I expected. We don't have him ready, but we're still getting him in the wheelchair, and all of a sudden I see the elk coming. I'm like, you guys got to hurry and get him ready because the elk's coming. Sure enough, he just calm as can be, get it. He's got his phone scope on there, gets it all set up, and that elk just starts walking towards us a little bit more. And I just say, Joey, are you ready? And he's, yes. Go cow call and stop him, you shoot. Worked out perfectly. Cow called, stopped, he shoots, he gets him. We go down there, we see the elk and everything, high fives and everything else. Meantime, we're reaching out to my brother Jason, and he has a hunter as well. Say, hey, there's more elk in here if you want to come over. He gets over there. We walk down into that little bowl of juniper trees. Sure enough, there's another bowl. Get down in there. We harvest that elk, and That was a little bit more of a packing one. Joey's we just drove to pretty much, but this one's a packing, but I'll never forget that kid's dad. We had everything quartered out, and his dad was what, like 5'5", 110 pounds?
At best, something wet.
Yeah. I says, okay, I'll take the head. And he says, no, that one's mine. I was like, are you sure? He's like, yes. This was the greatest thing in the world. And you guys did so much for my son. Packing this head out that's twice my size is worth every bit of the pain I will face getting back to the truck.
Yeah.
And he did not stop. I don't know, what, maybe quarter mile or so he had to pack that thing out?
Uphill.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember that.
That was an amazing day just with all that. And then I'll just never forget his dad saying that.
Yeah, and that very similar circumstance last year. The boy from California, his dad, the fireman, got out there Aspen Mountain very early in the morning, cold. The frustration of getting the boy in and out of the truck into the wheelchair, and finally he's no. Just put him in the back of the truck in the wheelchair, give him a blanket.
Yeah, we're talking a big motorized.
Big motorized.
It wasn't just
tractor.
It was a tractor.
Yeah. And I just remember looking in the back of the truck and him in there and the blankets on him, and I asked Dad, is he all right? He's fine.
He had a smile on his face.
He had a smile.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
And then Emma's hunt. There's so many. That's the thing. You talk about the impact of what these hunts on the family and the child specifically, but then the impact that it's had on us and everybody who's been involved. It's beyond measure. It's invaluable.
Yeah. Yeah. I do want to bring up the one, though, since you were talking about it's amazing that it just happens to work out. The one Amish boy that we had, we hunted all day. We missed 3 different bulls, but the very first one we tried so hard and he missed out on that one. Hunted all day long, and we turned around and was like, it's time to go back to town. We'll try again the next day. And we just happened to be coming back around towards where we started.
Yeah.
Look over, and there's the first bull coming towards us.
Yeah.
And so we're like, okay, so we get off the road, we get him set up, and we just pretty much sat there. I said, when he comes across, gets to the other side of the road, I'll cow call, stop by that juniper tree, and you shoot him. Same thing. It was like, how, just like Chris said, how'd this even happen?
Yeah. Wouldn't have happened if it was your tag, I can tell you that.
The last we saw that bull that we were chasing most of the day was going the opposite direction over 2 other ridges, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
So how he ended up all the way back to, it's just one of many things I just shake my head at. It's surreal.
Yeah, surreal. That's a great adjective for it. It is. Now, a great program. I'm glad we get to share in this and live vicariously through their opportunity to let us be a part of it and to assist. It's tremendous. If you know of someone, if there is a challenge, if you know of someone that would be of interest in this program that would qualify, it's a pretty simple process. Reach out to us. We'll visit over the phone. We'll send you the paperwork that goes before the physician that needs to be signed off on, declaring the terminal or life-threatening illness. That goes back to us. We have some paperwork on our end that we take care of, and then from there, it's the ball's in our court, and we make it happen. But it's a tremendous program. It's certainly I don't know what the latest life membership count is that we have, 605, something like that. I see one coming.
No, 6.
Oh, no, it's more than that.
630.
Yeah.
We're up to close to 630.
It's how many of those life members have become life members because of this program that have made that declaration. Now, I know you guys do a bunch of great things, but this is what's most important to me.
We've had life members say, I don't want the jacket, I don't want the rifle, give it to a kid.
Yeah.
That comes out and hunts with you guys, which is pretty incredible.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we need to update the board down there. I seen that just a little bit ago down, it said 603. I think that's a crazy thing is all this effort to promote the life membership right before the price increase September 1st. And I've still seen some life members come in with the $1,750 price instead of $1,500. Yeah, it's humbling. The support is humbling. This year's hunts are going to be just as exciting. Looking forward to them. And I'm glad we get to share this together.
Yeah, for sure. And I look forward to sharing all these memories with other folks too, all our membership base and everything else. I could just get excited and get to spread that out here. This is the 4 hunts we just went on.
Yeah.
Spread the word.
Spread the word.
We'd like to have 4 more next year.
What did Emma say? Life is good. Life is good.
Life is good.
What did Aiden say? Told you I could make that shot.
Yeah.
I told you I could make that shot.
Yeah.
Yeah, and a big thanks to Nick Duncombe.
Yeah.
Oh, doesn't he do a great job?
Yeah.
Videographers
Videos are fantastic. That's how we get it out there so people can experience one or two of the hunts and see what we get to experience ourselves.
Yeah, we certainly aren't able to video all of these hunts, but we do have a life member, Nick Duncombe, who has developed a very fine skill set in videography and editing and putting together good videos. We have been able to have several videos that are on our website. You can go to muleyfanatic.org and look at some of these hunts. And if there's, I wouldn't put one over the other, but Brock's last year, Brock Hansen, that boy, his smile never stopped.
Yep.
From 5 a.m. till 8 p.m. when he's barely keeping his eyes open in the truck. He just never stopped smiling. Yeah, go check those out. Chris, parting shot?
Yeah, just looking forward to the upcoming hunts and all those memories. It just talking about them, bringing up some of these other ones, and some I wasn't on, but just thinking about them, it's something I just definitely look forward to every year, and I'll be looking forward to these upcoming ones and just getting to meet new people and share hunting in the field with them. It's cool. Very cool.
Yeah. Joey?
Same. Looking forward to it. We're only a week and a half away, and I can't wait. But just any listeners out there, just if you know of anybody that qualifies for this program, please get in touch with them. Let them get in touch with us.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And a big thanks to everybody. You start naming names, you're going to inevitably leave somebody out, so I don't want to go down that road. But there are so many people that have supported this program, that continue to support this program, and it's with the most sincerest gratitude of just saying thanks.
Absolutely.
Visiting with some of the MFF team, Joey Faigl and Chris Steffen here at MFF headquarters, talking about the Putting the U in Hunt program. That's getting ready to get kicked off. A little time on the range, and then get started. Hunting. That's what we're going to do. We're going to go hunting.
Yep.
Hunting. You like hunting?
I love hunting.
You like hunting?
I love hunting.
I love hunting. That's it. Wild Things and Wild Places. If you like the program, please hit the subscribe button. Ding. There you go. Follow along at a new episode every Tuesday. Wild Things and Wild Places.
Gathered around the campfire's flickering glow, stories ignited, bridging hearts and minds as the world outside faded and connection reigned supreme. Welcome to Campfire Chats.
Welcome to Campfire Chat. Nothing like the sound of a crackling fire and the crack of the can. That's good stuff. Joining me today on Campfire Chat this evening, Pat from the Sierra Front chapter in Nevada. Did an episode. Hope you got to listen to Pat and Chris talk about their efforts with the Sierra Front chapter and the impact that they're having in their neck of the woods. Great stuff going on there. But Campfire Chat, completely different. Just want to talk to you individually just about the passion of hunting that you have, what it means for you, how it defines who you are, what you are, and the time you look forward to every fall and being able to take to the field. And you're just a couple weeks out, aren't you?
Yeah, actually, to be specific, I think I'm about, today's Monday, so next Wednesday.
And you'll be out there chasing what?
Mule deer. I got a partner tag with a buddy of mine. Give a shout out to Sam Hughes. He's a biologist up in Winnemucca for the Nevada Department of Wildlife, and we drew an archery mule deer tag in a unit that I actually had a tag in last year, so I'm semi-familiar with it.
Yeah, what did you learn from last year that you'll be able to take to the field with you this year?
The big thing I learned is it's a cluster of 4 units, and they pulled out one of the units this year, actually one of the units that I focused in. So that was interesting. But I'm not super disappointed about it just because it allows me to go try out a different range, see some new country, which I'm always excited about. It's not always about finding mule deer as it is exploring new areas and new places.
Yeah, have you put a lot of time in this summer at all or late spring? Have you been able to put some time in the field for scouting, or you didn't get a lot of time there last year, so are you going into it with a clean slate this year, or you already have a plan?
I had a rough idea from last year. There's 3 prominent ranges in my area, and so I have scouted. I've got about 4 days scouting. I'm going to go out this weekend again, so I'll be out there Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Your tool of necessity when you scout your glass, I'm assuming you're wearing a Maven optics at it. Is that the optics of choice for you?
No, it's not. I'm really a poser wearing this hat. I was fortunate enough, I purchased a pair of Swarovski NL Pures early last year. But I will say that my personal opinion is that the binoculars are the most essential piece of gear that you can carry if you're trying to find game. Obviously, boots are important because you got to get up there.
What boots do you wear, Pat?
I wear Crispies, and I'll say this. I think in Nevada, it's important. It's so rocky and rough that having a full leather boot, although there are some Crispies that aren't full leather, I think it's pretty important. A lot of the synthetic stuff wears down pretty quick. And I like my Crispies. I don't love them, and I think it's more of a foot thing as to oppose the boot itself. I got a second pair of Crispies that I enjoy, but yeah, I think it's more about the shape of my foot than anything.
Where did the hunting passion begin for you? What started that? What planted that seed?
So my father got me into it at a young age. And he didn't grow up as a big hunter. He hunted pigs a lot in California, and that was his thing. But when I was young, he got into mule deer hunting here in Nevada. And I remember going on the first mule deer hunt with him. You could drive three minutes down the road and you were in the unit. And that's what got me into it. And I wouldn't say my he's not a big hunter. He does hunt. He hasn't had as much opportunity as I've had, I think, just because the focus was me for so long. But now we're getting to the point where, fortunately, he's drawn some tags in the past, last year specifically and a couple years before that. But yeah, I would say it's my father. And then after that, I fell in love with the process of it, I guess. Everyone hunts a little bit differently, but just the emotional roller coaster that you go through, the ups and downs, the highs and lows. I feel like you've never felt so low in your life and you've never felt so high in your life than on a hunt.
Yeah. What's the lowest point?
It's probably a few years back. I shot and wounded a mule deer, and I tracked him for probably about 3.5-4 miles and lost his blood trail. And that sat with me for a few years. I never wounded an animal before that, and not being able to find him irked me a little bit. I felt like it was on me.
Archery hunt or rifle?
It was a rifle hunt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that happens to everybody, but boy, that stings, doesn't it?
Oh, it's got to be one of the worst feelings in the world. It's all you think about for months afterwards, at least for me, if not years.
And the highest?
It's actually, a lot of people might laugh at this, but it was a cow elk hunt last year.
Yeah.
I spent 8 days out cow elk hunting, archery, and I had a good buddy of mine out there for the first 3 days and had some issues. Side by side broke down about 40 miles from camp. And where we were at in Nevada, there's the nearest services are probably about 2 hours away. So long story short, side by side issues. I took the side by side into town, got it fixed. I thought, was driving back out for the hunt and totaled my truck.
Oh,
I got hit by a Chevy Tahoe at a pretty good clip. And anyway, I still elk hunted that night.
Of course you did.
Yeah, I figured truck's totaled, side by side still runs. There's really nothing I can do about it. Why not keep hunting? Hunted that night, hunted the next morning. Dad came up and Mom with my dad's pickup truck. We trailered my truck back. And the next day was my birthday. I got up that morning, drove back out, and the unit was about 6.5 hours away. Hunted that night and continued to hunt until day 8. So I never missed a day of hunting, which I was proud of. But on probably about day 6, my side-by-side decided to act up again. So now I was down to a truck, and a truck that wasn't meant to drive off-road. The truck overheated, and so I was bound to the lower roads. And most elk in this area are up above 8, 9, 10,000 feet. And last morning, the last day that I was going to be able to hunt, I finally came upon the herd that I'd found about 4 days prior. And I tailed them for about 2 or 3 miles, and I got a shot on this cow elk. It was my first archery kill, which was rewarding, but I think the most rewarding thing was, it was basically strike 3. I had totaled the truck. I had a broken down side-by-side. I had a truck that was overheating, but it still ended up all coming together, which I was pretty happy about.
Yeah, and you packed that out to the truck that was overheating?
I'll say this. I had some close friends nearby, about 20 miles away, good buddies of mine, grandparents, and it's a GPS device. You can text on it. And so I texted my buddy's grandmother, Dutchie, and she let the boys know, and they came up with the side-by-side. And I was standing on a dirt road when I shot this elk. So the pack out was only about 100 yards. So it's not one of those grueling pack out stories where you're 10 miles in and you're 29,000 feet in elevation gain. So the pack out was pretty short, but it was probably one of the most rewarding feelings I've had. It was literally the lowest of lows, totaling my truck, to getting it done the last day. I think it's the most expensive cow elk to come out of Nevada last year.
Oh, man. Had to be. Had to be. Still eating on the elk, or is it done?
No, I'm still eating on it. I killed a mule deer last year too, so I was fortunate to have probably about 200 pounds of meat in the freezer, and it's just me, so I've been gnawing on it ever since. But I'm just about out, which is good timing because I do have that mule deer hunt coming up.
Yeah, best of luck to you on that. The dream hunt?
I would probably, it's not really a particular species as it is probably the adventure aspect of it. I think sheep or mountain goat somewhere in Canada or Alaska. I think just the whole aspect of flying in, being out there for five to 10 days.
In such a beautiful, vast, desolate geography, just matching your wits with nature.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really, like I said earlier, the process and the grind and the suffering. I think that's what intrigues me. And that, to me, from what I can tell, might not be the epitome of it, but it's probably as close as you can get to it in North America.
Yeah, that'd be an epic experience that you'd hope to carry in your mental Rolodex forever.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Preparation for a hunt like that? Something that you think that you're no longer needing to prepare for the way you hunt here, that you would change for a hunt like that?
I'm not sure if I would change too much. The mountains here in Nevada are steep, and I think probably one of the most important aspects to a hunt like that would probably be your physical fitness.
Yeah.
And obviously knowing your gear, shooting, and preparation, but I'm not sure, to be honest with you, that there's too much I would change besides just educating myself on gear aspect and the differences between the weather up there that you might encounter versus the weather down here and the dry, arid state of Nevada.
Yeah. Are you a gear guy?
I'm not a gear junkie, and it's probably just because I'm cheap, to be honest with you. I like looking at stuff, but I wouldn't call myself a gear bum, so to speak.
Yeah. Next piece of gear, though, you would like to get?
Oh, that's a good question. Yeah, I've tossed this back and forth in my mind, and I really need a decent rangefinder. I need to upgrade from my Nikon 7i that I bought in 2014. It's great and all, but it's a little foggy when you get past 300 yards. It doesn't really pick too much up. So that's on my radar, and maybe upgrade my spotter. I got a Vortex Razor right now, which it does great for what it is, but I think it's probably about time to upgrade that.
Yeah, and the upgrade?
Money's always a factor. You did point out my Maven Optics hat, and I do think I've looked through a couple Maven spotters, and I think for the price, Maven is a very good optic. And I had a buddy I hunted mule deer with in Idaho 2 years ago, and they have a kind of a rent-to-own program where you can lease them for about 2 weeks, and he had an 85 spotter that I thought, wow, I forget how much it costs, but it was a good bang for your buck. But there's always the Swarovski, which is one of the top of the line optics out there. It probably just boils down to money. Eventually Swarovski, but I've never looked through a Swarovski spotter, so I really can't say.
Yeah. The reputation precedes them.
I'm pretty happy with the binos, I'll say that.
Yeah. Bino harness? That's a good question.
I just picked up a marsupial harness.
Okay. Last
year. I ran a Kuiu one for a long time, and one of the older ones, I think I picked it up in 2017, maybe 2016. But I liked it. It was fine. It got the job done. There was a couple things with it that I didn't love. I picked up the marsupial harness, and particularly the one that is fully enclosed, because they do have the ones that are open on the sides. I liked the fact that it had a zipper pocket in the front. It had a web pocket in the back. The pockets on the side, they look comfortable. And there's also a couple attachments that you can put on it too, which I haven't played around with, but it looked like I do a lot of research before I buy a piece of gear, and that kind of, to me, seemed like one of the better bino harnesses on the market. And maybe I'm a little biased, but that's what I ended up with.
Yeah, there's a bunch out there. Seems in just a very short duration of time, you had plenty of options to choose from, and until you can get your hands on them and start playing with them. No matter what you find, I think you'll probably find flaws, pros and cons to each of them. But yeah, I'm with you on that. I think that you have one 4 or 5 years later, it's probably time to see what else is out there.
Yeah, and that's how I am. I like to use a piece of gear until the end of its lifespan, and then time to move on and see what else is out there. I have buddies that run other bino harnesses that they love. So I really think for the most part, people will be happy with what they get.
Yeah.
But this is just the one that I decided was for me.
Yeah, you touched on your crispy boots, your binos. Another piece of favorite gear that you have? An absolute?
I'm honestly going to say that I think I touched on all three of them. I think your footwear is super important, because if If your feet aren't happy, then you aren't going to get up to the top. I really enjoy the bino harness, but I think ultimately the pair of binos, I think that I said in the first few minutes of this, I think a pair of binos is essential. And you probably hear that a lot. It's not very original, but the fact of the matter is I think spending your money on a good pair of binos goes a long ways, and it can set you up for success in the long run.
That's the game changer, isn't it?
That's what I think, in my humble opinion. Very humble opinion.
Pat, great to talk to you about hunting. I wish you the best of luck this fall, or I hope you also get to make that dream hunt happen someday. That's something that you should work hard towards and bring that home.
No, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. All right. Campfire Chat. Thanks, Pat.
And that wraps up another episode of Wild Things and Wild Places. But remember, the journey doesn't end here. Make sure you never miss out by subscribing. Whether you're listening to us on your favorite podcast platform, streaming us on our website, or following us on social media, subscribing is the best way to stay connected. Thank you for joining us, and stay tuned for more wild episodes.
Everybody knows I'm a Muley Fanatic.